One. Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. It's Derby week, guys. Being honest, it's not our most exciting that we've ever been for Derby week. We had a pretty poor result against Dundee United last week, but Hearts, I think, have lost 5 in a row. So they're pretty much in tatters. So we're getting fired at Derby week, guys. Euan, how are we feeling about the Edinburgh Derby this weekend? Sorry. Willy Wonka, how are we feeling about Derby weekend?
Nah, good, mate. Good. It is weird, like knowing that I'm not going. That is a weird feeling. But the yeah, obviously Hearts getting. I think some Hibs fans are less confident now. I'm not. I'm more confident after they've removed Nielsen. I have to be honest.
Okay, and Ryan is joining us today. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm all right, but I've been stuck in Belfast Airport for about 5 hours. I chose to come here the same time as the first presidential visit in over 20 years, man. So what a week to choose.
Jesus Christ. Someone put a clown emoji over his face. That is daft behaviour.
I know, but I know. I thought I was more important than him, but clearly not.
Unfortunately not on this occasion. I'm surprised they weren't aware that it was Derby weekend this weekend, but here we are. So as usual for these episodes, we're going to get fired straight into listener questions, guys. So Euan, we'll come to you first. First question is from Michael McCurdy, and he asked, what do we do with the dilemma that is our midfield? In my opinion, Jago shouldn't be in the team. Newell and JDH, good on their day, but very inconsistent. Would we consider dropping Nisbet a bit deeper to be the link between midfield and the attack? Think he played well doing that before. So essentially, how do we solve the problem that is a very discombobulated midfield, and should we drop Nisbet further deeper? It's 2 questions that we've got there.
Read Nisbet, yes and no. Like, play 2 strikers, and that gives them the license to drop. Like, this is the thing. So it's stupid, right? But say we play Kukarevich and Nisbet, everyone's going to go, we're playing with 2 strikers. None of us this immediately are going to go Nisbet to the 10. But you know what I mean? Like, that's like, we're not going to think that. In terms of the midfield itself, specifically for this weekend, just get energy in there. Again, drop Jago. He's not energetic. No,
That's fair. Yeah.
Forget anything else that's been said about him. He doesn't have the energy for this game. That was evident in his debut. He just wasn't. He's not the legs. I think he got overrun in that game. I would be looking at Newell and Egan Riley as at least a 2, and then potentially, depending on sort of formation, my preference would be just going with a 2. But I think you'd be okay putting like Campbell in there as well.
And Ryan, come to yourself. The midfield, how would the ideal midfield situation? Oh, Ryan is gone. So yeah, Ryan essentially was waiting for a flight to board to Belfast from Belfast to Scotland. So essentially, he is gone. But my 2 cents, I think Euan's pretty close to the mark. I think for me, the two holding midfielders as such should be Newell and CJ. I think playing CJ at centre back was obviously a failed experiment at the weekend. We lost the bottom team in the league. But yeah, it's difficult because I think Campbell's a great option to play in there when he's on form, but he has been very poor for the last while. I think probably about a month or so, Campbell's not really performed. So essentially, yeah. And my ideal formation, like my ideal midfield would be, okay, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to get hate for this, but I'm going to say it anyway, Euan. I'd play Newell, CJ, and Henderson. I'd play Henderson in the position that Campbell's currently be playing in, because I think if he's if I would be a proper 4-2-3-1, and Henderson would kind of be in that position just behind the striker. I think that's where Henderson thrives, where he's not really got the responsibility to track back. I think when Henderson's just got his head on, where he just has to pick out the passes to bomb the ball out wide or try and play the through balls in the middle, I think that's where he thrives, and he's not really got that responsibility to track back and try and make tackles. So yeah, for me personally, I would start Henderson. I know that's not going to be very popular because he's not had his greatest season, but I think he would be good in this game.
Go back to Michael's question then. Would you start him over Nisbet there then?
it's a tricky, because the thing is for me for Nisbet, if it was a coin flip between him and Kukurevich, I would definitely start Kukurevich, just because I think Kukurevich has been in stronger form just on the small minutes we've seen him in. And I think Nisbet hasn't really been firing of late, to be honest. I think his performances have been pretty poor, as well as not scoring goals. I know he scored the consolation goal against Motherwell, but I don't think he's looked particularly great in the last 3-4 games. So for me, I wouldn't actually mind seeing Nisbet dropped if it meant that we had a bit more cohesion in the team. So yeah, I'm going to stick my neck out, mate. I would start Henderson over Nisbet. Yeah,
we're saying Nisbet's not firing, is it not? Still, it must be 8 or 9 goals in 12 league games. Like I know.
Yeah.
There can be question marks over his performances in the last 2 games, but one, potentially built him up for too much, and 2, he did still score a goal and is coming back from injury. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just don't. If Kevin Nisbet's fit, please. That's my view on Kevin Nisbet as a player for Hibs.
Yeah. If it did come down to it, would you start him or Kukurevich?
It's not a toss of a coin for me. It's both.
But if it was a toss of a coin,
Nisbet scored more goals than him this season.
Kukurevich is better. But anyway, okay. Michael, thank you so much for your question. We'll move on to the next one. We've got a few questions to get through. Gav Dick asked, "What do we do to win? Not confident, but fuck it, 1-0 to the Cabbage." So essentially, how can Hibs actually win this game at the weekend?
I still don't think it's that difficult, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to say score more goals than Hearts or do the basics or anything like that. Like what Greg would say. I think at the start of the season when we were playing well, even against Hearts early doors and Rangers as well, we were direct. And the big difference between being direct and long ball football, be direct and be on the front foot, get the ball forward quick with a purpose. I think we've lost that massively since Boyle was injured. I think that's when we started to become passive again. The bad run of form had started at that point. However, the performances were probably still there, and then since Boyle's injury leading into the World Cup, then post, that's when I felt the performances really, really did drop off. And you seen it against Dundee United. Everything was to feet. Everything was slow. It was laboured. I think you need to be direct in these games. It's like what I said on the podcast on Monday. I think to be a good midfielder in Scotland, all you need is sort of a little bit of pace, purpose, aggressive, be athletic. And I don't think any team in the league outside of Celtic and Rangers is good enough to pass another team to death, regardless of who you are. So be direct, get the balls down the sides and the channels, get forward with a purpose, and you'll get it at Hearts. Ultimately, Hearts. If we remove the fact it's an Edinburgh Derby, Hearts have won 3 league games away from home this season. They're not good away from home. They've lost 5 games on the spin. I think they've potentially lost like 6 of their last 7. To remove all that all the other stuff around Edinburgh Derbies, just purely focus on their weaknesses, be direct, get their fullbacks, and you've got a real good chance. And
yeah,
turns out wasn't bored enough playing.
And the thing for me as well, it's something that I've kind of had a bit of a gripe with Lee Johnson in general. I think playing the players in the correct position. I know that CJ Egan Riley was kind of brought in as cover for centre back, but in my opinion, I just don't think he's particularly suited for centre back, just with the characteristics and attributes that he's got. So if we started with Fish and CJ at centre back, I think that would be a massive mishap on his part. I'd much rather see the likes of Mikey Devlin, or if Paul Hanlon's back, Paul Hanlon come in to fill in position. And the thing is for me, I think Nisbet's good at dropping in, but the reason I said Henderson over him, Henderson's naturally an attacking midfielder. He's kind of used to playing in that role. He's kind of been brought up in football in that role behind the striker. And Nisbet hasn't. Like Nisbet's kind of used to being that main man that's kind of targeted. So for me, just pick 11 players and put them in their correct position. That's my main thing. I think if we do that, we've got a good chance of winning this game, because Hearts, I know they've set the managers, so they might have that new manager bounce, but essentially they're in tatters. They've had a terrible run of form. They're coming into this game looking very poor. There's no reason why Hibs can't go out there and take advantage of that. But Ryan, the question that we're answering at the moment is, how can Hibs win at the weekend?
I think we just need to show a bit more fight and desire that has been lacking in the previous Edinburgh derbies, and even in the other league fixtures that we've played recently, Motherwell and Dundee United. There doesn't seem to have been an awful lot of creativity. Nothing inventive, very straightforward. No third man running, no rotations, no. Just general inventiveness, going down the sides at fullbacks, getting crosses in the box. I think we're actually quite an easy team to play against. Dundee United proved that on Sunday. They just left their centre backs on the ball, and from that you don't produce anything. So I think we need to be on the front foot. And the most important thing on Saturday coming is what we do without the ball. I think that's one of the most important things in football, and it's understated a lot of the time. A lot of your hard work's done off the ball to make sure that when they have large periods of possession, you're not conceding free kicks, corner kicks, and dangerous chances that they can score from.
Yeah, I mean, just from what Ryan's saying there as well, it sort of ties in with what I said there, Harry. The ball at the weekend spent far too much time with Egan, Riley and Fish. Sometimes just turn them. Just turn their team and get on top of them. So just turn them and follow it up. That it's half 12 kickoff. The atmosphere has every chance of being shite. But the atmosphere at Easter Road's not great. It's not unless something, especially unless it's like an evening game. It really does take something to get going. That's ultimately the way it is. In the game in January, the atmosphere picked up a little bit when we were sort of on the front foot in that. But making them turn and then pressurising the fullback, even just blocking the throw in, blocking a clearance, or just hitting people early and trying to just cramp them in as much as possible. As much as up and at them in 10, 15 minutes at the start of the game and really set the tone. I don't think there's any point in just sort of trying to keep the ball for the first 10 minutes. I don't think you should keep it tight or whatever, but get on the front foot and play the game as much as possible in their half. Be that the ball's in the air and you're winning your second balls or you're passing through them, just play it in their half, and that will get people on side. And like Johnson got a lot of stick for saying that the team will need the fans, but it's true. Of course they will.
Yeah.
And
listen, with it being a derby, there's always a kind of lacking quality in these kind of games. They're always quite frantic and high intensity. I mean, you're not going to see a team move, come from the back, build up through the defence, 10, 15 passes. It's going to be frenetic. It's going to be blood and thunder. And if we can be the better team at the blood and thunder, then that'll give us a much better chance of coming away with a victory.
Exactly, absolutely. And there is still absolutely room for quality. This is, but impose yourself. Play the game in their half, and then impose your quality. Do not give it to whoever the centre backs are. Don't. For me, I would rather see a ball down the side than us constantly, a ball down the side, then get on top of them, than just constantly recycle it. And against Dundee United, but we just recycled it. We've not got the ability in the squad to constantly recycle and be looking for these little passes that maybe once upon a time with when Scott Allen was in the team. This isn't we should have kept Scott Allen because he was well past it. But Scott Allen in his prime, the games he is going to slip a wee ball in through behind the centre backs for defenders. But play to your strengths. Our strength in the top end of the park is speed and power. Euan is fast. Kukrevich is fast and strong. Nisbet's fast and strong. Give them balls to fight for. If they're up for it, then you've got more than enough of a chance to win the game.
Yeah, and just touching on the point there that you were saying about recycling possession, I think that's maybe where a lot of the time Lee Johnson can get mixed up with the data side of things. Against Dundee United, we probably did have the majority of the ball, but it's not in dangerous areas of the pitch. When you're playing passes across the back four for 15, 20 minutes and chasing a game, the data is going to show that you've had all the ball, but you've done nothing with it. So we do need to start playing more progressively, especially against Hearts on Saturday in their half. Like Euan says, make no mistakes. They're a team under pressure at the minute. They are there to be got at.
Yeah, neither team is coming into this in any sort of form. Neither team is coming into this with any sort of real backing in terms of how many Hearts fans are now more in favour of their club after they've made that decision to remove Nielsen on Sunday or whenever it was, Monday. But they will turn if we start quick. Now, I think we've experienced at Tynecastle as well that an away atmosphere is a lot different from a home atmosphere. An away atmosphere will generally be, in my opinion, much more supportive, especially in the big games when you've got the full stands, and it'll be a lot more like raucous. So hopefully we need to do anything we can. So they'll be maybe say, "Oh, you need to silence Easter Road," but for me, the home team will be silenced easier. So we need to get on top of them early doors. We'll be attacking that end as well. Just keep them cramped in as much as possible. And they don't have the ability to play through us just now either. That's some like they don't have that. Obviously, Snodgrass is definitely not going to be playing. For me, it's an absolute dead set that Peter Haren's going to be resurrected to play holding midfield at the weekend, like he always is in the derbies. And he'll probably have a fucking 10 out of 10 like he does in every single derby. He'll just come in and Hibs he just plays like fucking. No, you know what Peter Haren in the derby? Did you watch wrestling when you were younger?
Aye.
Mind on SmackDown, the GM, it was Teddy Long. He'd be like, "And you're going to face the Undertaker," and he just wheels him out every week for whoever's fucked him off. That's like what happened for the Edinburgh Derby, and it's like, fuck, we didn't care what to do with that. Like, just every fucking derby, he will play, and that's what you're going to come up against. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be Peter Haren, Devlin if he's fit. Like, they will have the most workman-like midfield in there, and you just need to match ultimately that effort and then run all over them.
Well, thank you very much, Gavdick. I think that is the most in-depth answer we have ever given to any question on the podcast. But next question is from Fraser Maltman, and he asked, what is inherently wrong with us on Derby Day? Why can't successive managers seem to change it? I think that's a very good question. I think that historically Hibs have struggled in terms of motivating themselves for the Derby, especially in comparison to Hearts. Have you guys got any particular reason why that might be the case?
Top to bottom, including the fan base.
Yeah, I think.
Why is he asking that? But he's asking that question. There'll be 18,000 Hibs fans there. Maybe a little bit less. I can't remember the exact breakdown of the stands. And of the Hibs fans, you've probably got 3/4 of them going in thinking we're going to get beat. That translates.
Yeah, and I think it's.
I'm not blaming the fans. I'm not blaming the fans, but it is top to bottom. And the only way that will be transformed is having a few wins ultimately. But it is top to bottom. We are all going into this game expecting to get beat at the weekend. Well, that's the truth, right? All of us. If we weren't recording this right now and we went into the group chat right now and actually, we're being totally honest, we would probably all say, "I'm dreading this." That's probably the truth. And it's absolutely not the fans' problem. It's absolutely not. But they have that cocksure about them. Regardless of how bad they are, their fans assume they will beat us. Regardless.
I think there's absolutely a well-known fact that whenever somebody new comes into their club, be it player, staff, or otherwise, the first thing that's ingrained into them is that we must beat Hibs. That seems to be their priority. Beat Hibs. They would take beating us every game of the season and finishing just above relegation if it meant beating us every time they played us. Seems to be their default position is as long as we beat Hibs, everything else is secondary to that. Whereas I don't think that we put as much onus on the derbies as maybe what they do. They've got this kind of culture at the club where, as I say, whenever somebody new comes in, be it ex-players come in and they kind of talk them through exactly what it means to beat Hibs and be the top team in Edinburgh. I'm not sure we do that. Maybe we do.
We probably don't. I don't want to, we probably don't have people that can justifiably come in and say that.
No, and that's a problem. That is a problem.
But who are you going to bring in that can say, "I've got this record in this, and this is what I mean"?
There lies the problem.
Mowbray had a shocking record against Hearts. Collins, average. Mowbray was average, but pretty damn poor. It was tough to be Stubbs. in my lifetime.
I would say in our lifetime we've not been very lucky with managers and players that have got a good record.
I genuinely don't agree with that anyway. The players will want to win this. Of course they'll want.
I'm not saying they don't want to win it, but you know, I just think that Hearts players and management team look at this fixture a lot differently to what we do.
I don't know.
Well, it's proven it. There's absolutely something that proves otherwise, because look at their record in comparison to ours.
I mean, generally the better team wins more often than not. When Hearts have been when Hibs have been the better team, that's generally when we've.
I would disagree, because if you look at the likes of Stendel's team that won at Easter Road, that was a terrible Hearts team and they pumped us 3-1. I think historically across the years, Hearts have just won more derbies than Hibs have.
Historically, Hearts have been better than Hibs. That is also true. That point is also true.
I think if you compare them side by side, I think that Hearts have outperformed in derbies more than Hibs have. You can say that, but yeah, in my opinion, both teams, even if they're low, if Hibs are at their highest and Hearts are at their lowest, I would still say I would go 50-50 on who's going to win. Whereas if Hearts are at their highest and Hibs are at their lowest, I would say Hearts are going to win.
I think there's always exceptions to the rule, but generally the team that is performing better wins. Generally, because you say you got the season we got relegated, but Hearts actually did perform better than us that season. They collected more points than us that year. The game you've highlighted under Stendhal and Ross, absolutely. But other than that, generally.
What about the semi-final? You were fucking miles ahead of them in terms of squad quality, and they pumped us at Hampden.
I think with the COVID one.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is exceptions there, but it's COVID, it's an empty stadium.
How many? Right. Okay. So essentially, what we're saying, listen.
Kevin Nisbet hits the bar.
I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking about this.
2 minutes before Kevin Nisbet hits a penalty off the bar, 2 minutes before Liam Boyce scores a penalty. That is what happened in that game. There has been times when Hibs teams have been poorer than Hearts teams and won, like when Riordan scored the penalty. But in my opinion, more often than not in these games, the better team does. We were better than them for the duration of Alan Stubbs's, maybe other than that first season. But even towards the end of that season, after they'd won the league, we started to rally and finish strong. Won derbies, got a good record going. We were a better team than them when we were in the Championship and they were in the top flight. We got this underdog spirit, but we weren't better than them, in my opinion.
I don't know what the issue is, Harry. There is an issue somewhere along the line, but we really need to start to turn it around.
Okay, well, we've answered that. I think it's fair to say in quite good depth. So thank you, Fraser, for your question. Next question is from Euan Mick 99. He said, thoughts on them getting Naismith in for the remainder of the season. Ryan, we'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on Stephen Naismith being in the dugout for Hearts for the rest of the season?
No comment. Couldn't give a shit who's in charge of Hearts. Could not give one fuck. Could be anybody. Next question.
Euan, your thoughts?
I think it really makes a difference. In terms of for the rest of the season, Ryan, don't really care. Probably a little bit disappointed to Sat Nielsen because it did look like it was only going one way. But in terms of Naismith being in charge for this weekend, God, if you throw all the generic quotes and stuff at it, new manager bounce, but form goes out the window in derbies, you raise your game in derbies, that's the other, but it should all even it, and in that generic stuff, it should all even it sell out. But I don't think you'll see any difference, mate, to be honest. He's been involved at Hearts for long enough. You want to talk about his derby record, it's probably 50-50, give or take, if I would guess. So no real thoughts in it. He's hardly had any time, like 4 or 5 training sessions. He's not going to change anything. The only thing I think will change is they won't play a back three. I'd be really surprised if he persisted with that.
Yeah. And the next question came in from Charlie Mulgrew thinks you've made a mistake, which is from Jake. And the first is a meme of someone, I'm not sure who,
Yeah.
and it says, my prediction, Payne. Hopefully not, but his starting lineup, his hopeful starting lineup that he thinks would win 3-1 is Marshall in goals, a back four of Miller, Fish, Devlin, and McIntyre, a midfield of CJ, DM, central midfield of Newland Campbell, and attacking midfield of Euan, and then up front he had Nisbet and Kukurevich. What do we think of that starting lineup?
That would get ran all over. I don't want it like
lack of width is a bit scary there.
Miller's second start, Devlin's first start, Fish probably on the back of potentially one or two of his worst games in terms of full 90 minutes. McIntyre's first start, one central midfielder. Sorry, who did he have at the sides? Because
he had CJ, Newell, Campbell, Euan in midfield. Euan in the kind of hole behind the strikers.
Midfield's fine. Midfield's absolutely fine. As is the front three, but the defence, nah. No.
Ryan, we'll come to you. Do you think Miller, Fish, Devlin, McIntyre would be that bad? I think it's fair to say left back is kind of been. I don't think that Johnson's got favoured left back at the moment out of Stevenson, Chebrier, so potentially there is the open there for McIntyre. And Miller, fair play to him, did play well at Celtic Park and hasn't featured since. Euan, fair enough, had said that would be terrible. But what do you think?
As a unit,
I did hear the episode you guys put out there earlier in the week, and Liam made valid points about Johnson not fancying either of the left backs he's got at the minute, and senior left backs. The other option would be McIntyre, but I think he's probably not quite at that stage in his development yet to be flung in an Edinburgh Derby. As for Miller, I understand the clamour around him. However, we need to remember he's started one game. You know, he played one good game against Celtic, albeit he was very good. But that doesn't automatically qualify him as a better, more experienced player than Cadden. You know, I think people are kind of disregarding how good Cadden's been for the club over the last 18 months specifically. And as for Devlin, you need to cast your mind back quite a long time to the last time he played in Scottish football to kind of remember what kind of player he was. I can't pass comment on him. It was that long ago. So I'm not going to advocate for him to play when I don't know anything about him.
I would give that.
You know, I get that he's a
that back four is a unit. There's no. They've never.
Yeah, it's really disjointed because they've never played together. There's no minutes.
They've never even fucking trained together as a four. Yeah. You know what I mean? On the same team at fucking sevens, like. But
as much as I understand the sentiment for getting CJ further up the park, which absolutely needs to happen, we can only hope that maybe Hanlon is going to make it.
It's Hanlon or Devlin for me. That's my like. If Devlin is deemed fit enough and Hanlon's not available, then I would have Devlin and Fish at centre back.
So is the whole fan base in agreement that Jimmy Jekyll's no use then? Fucking took them long enough to catch up with us, eh?
Yeah. All right, but are we in agreement that Fish and CJ at centre back would be a disaster? Are we happy to say that as a podcast we weren't very happy with that in the first place?
I think it was proven on Sunday there. I think Lee Johnson even admitted it pretty much in his post-match interview that it was too inexperienced to handle a wily old Fox Fletcher.
Aye, to be fair, they'd probably be better this weekend having had that experience together.
Would you trust them to handle Shanklin?
He'll be playing fucking holding midfield if you're asking the right. You scored all these goals for holding midfield. That's what. Nah, mate. Like I say, I would put it Hanlon or like I would be okay with Devlin probably playing. However, you would think surely Riley and Fish would be better for the experience on Sunday. Even
you would hope so.
With each other. But it's the fullback thing. I would absolutely be fine with playing Lewis Miller, but no, if he's going to get exposed in a sort of diamond formation, which is how I believe that got sent in, I'd absolutely put Lewis Miller at right back if Cadden was playing in front of him. And probably the same for Oscar McIntyre. If you had someone in front of him, but they'd both be getting exposed all the time. Like probably be looking at Barry Mackay potentially, and maybe like an Alan Forrest or something, like just sort of two experienced top flight wingers that, for all their flaws, could probably take advantage of an experience.
And next question, just to say, great name, bring back Hibs bounce. When I was a kid going to Hibs games, I fucking loved the Hibs bounce. See when you'd win a big game.
The forum not finished.
Pardon?
Is it not about the fan forum? Is that still going?
No, I think Hibs bounce is still a thing.
No, it is still going. Just check.
Yeah, no, but like, see when you like beat Rangers, Celtic, or Hearts, and you do the Hibs bounce in the stand. That was class. That was great, Patter. Bring that back. That was quality.
Did they win the 3 games that you just mentioned?
All right. Well, we didn't win your attitude apparently because that was stinking. But the point they made was great attacking players and nobody to feed chances or create anything. I would play a youngster in beside Newell and drop Campbell. Another luxury player reminds me of Malin. Up to Lee Johnson to motivate the players every week. They're not up for it. So essentially, would you drop Campbell for a youngster? And if so, what youngster would you bring in?
No, I wouldn't.
I couldn't tell you who would be available. I can't tell you who plays at centre mid for the reserve development team, to be honest. But I'll take Campbell isn't an automatic starter. He's out of form, but to refer to him as a luxury player isn't. Absolute nonsense. Like I know that I don't want to be too critical here, but Josh Campbell hasn't actually. Well, I think he's got an ounce of luxury about him. Like if he was a supermarket, he would be fucking just as
Iceland.
Like just like, you know what I mean? Like he's certainly no fucking Waitrose or whatever. But like like it's talking about we don't have anyone to feed the forwards, and then refers to the fact that we have a player like a luxury player. Luxury players to me are your Scott Allen.
Yeah.
Like, just say big up Dave Graham who responded to that comment and said the least luxury player we have ever had works harder than the rest of the team combined. I think that's a fair comment. The thing is for Josh Campbell, I think if you've got gripes with them for maybe not having the best performances in the world, it's never for a lack of effort. I think he puts his whole heart and soul into this team. So yeah, for me,
working hard is not enough. By the way, to get working hard is not enough to mean that you start. But I don't agree with the assessment there. And I don't agree with putting a youngster in the centre midfield, mainly because I don't know who that would be. So it'd be me to say.
Especially against Hearts, like the main battle of the game is going to be in that midfield area. So dumping a random 18 to 21-year-old in there, like without having a proper established first team presence, would be fucking horrible.
Everyone's saying, "Oh, we're going to get beat. We're going to what's going to happen in that." So put the youngsters in. See if you feel that bad about it. Why do you want your youngsters to get put on a park where you think you're going to get beat?
Yeah. Absolutely, that stifles the development more than anything else. If you put them in there and they're getting run all over, they won't take or learn anything from that experience. I just want to also echo Dave Graham's point about Josh Campbell. He is the least luxury player I've ever seen on a Hibs shirt. He covers every blade of grass. He shuts down, chases every loose ball. Like, he works harder than anybody. Luxury player is a Scot.
I do think he has
somebody you can have to carry defensively. That's definitely not
moved up the luxury chain a little bit at some points. I do think the body language has maybe been a little bit different in recent games versus previously. But
definitely not Josh Campbell.
I actually think he. I thought he maybe looked like he had a knock on Saturday. I wasn't sure though.
Well, anyway, bring back Hibs bounce. We agree with your we disagree with your Josh Campbell doesn't try hard, because I think he tries very hard. Speaking of Dave Graham, he did say if Hanlon isn't fit and Devlin clearly isn't ready, play Blaney next. And then he also said drop Newell. He's far too defensive in these games. Go after them. We win easy. But if I see Harry McCurdy's name on the team sheet, I'm just going to stay in the Albion bar the whole game. So first of all, he was corrected and people did correct him. Blaney's currently out on loan. So hopefully if Hanlon isn't fit, Devlin does come back into the team, because it was shown at the weekend that CJ and Fish relationship doesn't work. But we'll move on to the things we actually can talk about. drop Newell, do you think that Newell ends up being far too defensive in games against the likes of Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, or do you think that's a bit of a stretch from Dave?
I actually think Dave's right there. I think Joe Newell does. I don't know what, because I think Joe Newell's got the ability to sort of play a little bit higher up the park than what he does. And I think he's got the athleticism that I talked about on Monday. But I agree with Dave. And Derby's, I feel like we haven't seen the best of him. And I think he is, I don't know if defensive the word, but he maybe does at times get caught between playing safe too often, and then maybe the fans start to go, oh, when the ball goes back to the centre back, then he gets it and he tries to play an overly aggressive ball. Like, I don't think in a Derby game yet Newell has hit the right balance that we have seen that he's capable of. Even against Celtic and the Rangers, I think he's played really well in their games, but as of yet in a Derby game, I don't think we've seen the best of him.
But Ryan, just to mix it up when we're coming to you, in terms of McCurdy, I think it's fair to say at this, the first ahead of Dundee United scoring, I think that a lot of Hibs fans were happy with McCurdy kind of demanding the ball, whether he shot or crossed. It was a good ball in the box in the end when it came to Nisbet and he missed the sitter. Do you think it's fair to say McCurdy is a missing player in the team, or do you think that fans are being harsh on him?
I don't know if either of you guys heard Michael Stewart on Sports Sound afterwards,
No.
and he said that he did allude to the fact that playing McCurdy is like playing with a lesser man. So I don't know if I would go as far as saying it's like playing with 10 men. He started the game brightly, but then his lack of quality started to kind of come through a little bit, and he was giving the ball away quite easily, cheap in possession. I don't think that he is of the quality to play for Hibs every week. That's my personal opinion. If people want to come after me for it, fair enough. I just don't think he's good enough to be playing every week in this team. We signed him as a centre forward. We're playing him at right wing. So not only is he out of position, he's also not got the quality needed. You know, when you compare him Martin Boyle, for instance, you know, he's just not good enough. You need somebody on the levels that can create assists and balls into the box and score goals and full package kind of thing. Not just put one cross in against Dundee United.
Whilst Ryan, if you can mute yourself, please, because the voices are going on in the background. I think Ryan makes a very valid point. I think McCurdy, if the best description you can have of McCurdy is lively as opposed to anything else of his abilities, I think you're struggling.
Strikers that score goals, like that's what I like.
Yeah, I was speaking to Liam. He's not on the pod tonight, but McCurdy had one good season at Swindon. If you look at McCurdy historically, he's not done anything. He had one breakout season at Swindon, and then Hibs bit on him. It was a big risk, and so far, it's fair to say it's not paid off at all. I think the main problem, in my opinion, with McCurdy is the fans, especially the fans' perspective. He's got a fun celebration with a bow and arrow, but we've had him for how many months now? Like 5 months, and he's not once scored a goal. That not really good enough.
Even more about it, and he's not even looked like scoring a goal.
Yeah, like the closest McCurdy comes to a goal is setting people up by mishitting shots, and that's his whole thing.
I might be wrong. I think he rattled the crossbar, but he was offside at some point in the season. But like, and I know, like, oh, he's not even looked like scoring, doesn't matter. But like Kukurevich, we're saying, like, how many times was he like inches offside, or not even inches, fucking millimeters offside? And he probably could have doubled the goal tally this season. Whereas McCurdy, I don't even really remember going, how's he not scored that? You know what I mean? Like how Melkerson had his chance against Dundee United. You could always hark back to that and go, well, at least he was there. You know, if he scored that, he might kick on, just needs his first league goal, blah, blah, blah. But he's done absolutely nothing except moan at referees, moan at linesmen, and cut inside and lose the ball.
And have, in my opinion, not so great hairdos, and that's coming from me. But yes, realistically, we want McCurdy to do the best he can possibly do. But so far, it's fair to say he's not really done that. But moving on to the next question, thank you, Dave. CJ Jones, and we've kind of answered this, but we'll take it on anyway. He said, apart from the obvious, such as better performance and the team actually fighting for a win, etc., what do we need to do to ensure we get a win or at least a draw on Saturday? So heading into this game, everything aside, what can Hibs actually do? Just give me one thing that Hibs should actually focus on to get a result from this game on Saturday. Euan, we'll come at you first.
Being better in the transition. Sorry.
Ryan, we'll come at you first.
Yeah, I think we need to be better in the transition just after we lose possession. I think you noticed that on Sunday there against Dundee United. That's how eventually they got the goal. We lost the ball in a cheap position of the park and exposed. Karen was out of position. We didn't fill in properly, which I thought was Jego's job when players went forward from the fullback area. However, I must be wrong. But I think we do need to be better in the transition. We're so vulnerable on the transition.
And Euan, if you give us one thing in your opinion that Hibs could improve to give us the best chance possible of winning, what would you choose?
Given he loves sleeping so much, I suggest that sleeping is what impacts Euan's performance. And it was an early kick-off on Sunday and he was shit. And it's an early kick-off this Saturday. So force him to be in his bed by 9 o'clock on Friday night and then he'll be at it on Saturday lunchtime.
In my opinion, I personally think the main thing we need to do is we need to pick 11 players that are comfortable and confident in their position. I don't think that's a big ask from Lee Johnson.
Confident, but you pick Euan Henderson.
Mate, Euan Henderson fits in behind the striker, in my opinion.
He's confident.
Pardon?
He's confident. I don't think Euan Henderson gets a harsh rap compared to Adam McCurdy, but he always looked short of confidence. I think he got it back for a little period there, but
I've definitely commented, in my opinion, I think the main problem with Henderson, I think Henderson's got a high volume and high potential to have a really strong quality in attacking midfield, but I think that he is short of confidence. I think that if he's put in a position in which he isn't forced to track back and he's expected to make the challenges that he's probably expected to make at the moment, I think he's in a good position to thrive as a player. But I think that with the system that Lee Johnson set up, we kind of play with a flat midfield three, and the three of them are expected to track up and down the field. And I think that's where the problem is. Liam, who isn't on the pod tonight, hates the concept of players having roles and players playing in formations. But in my opinion, managers set out their players to play particular roles. And in my opinion, if you meet that role, the team can thrive around you. But for me, whenever Henderson's put on the field, he isn't put in positions in which he is typically going to thrive. But that's my opinion. I might be completely wrong on that. I'm happy to be wrong on that.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah, 100%. Lee, he's not got, the thing is, you need to have a lick of pace about you, and he's not got that breakneck speed to go out on a wing. He needs to play through the middle, feeding balls through middle to the striker, in my opinion. But anyway. Thank you, CJ, for your question. David Fallon has said his starting 11. Okay, so listen to the full starting 11, and let's just rate it out of 10 and how we would rate it compared to our perfect teams, okay? So David Fallon has put Marshall in goals, a back four of Stevenson, Hanlon, Fish, Miller. He has caveated if Hanlon isn't fit, put Devlin in instead of him. And then he's put a midfield trio of Newell, Egan Riley, and Nisbet. And then he's put a front three of Ellie, Euan, Kukurevich, and Cadden. So what do you guys make of that team? Is that a team that if it started at the weekend, it would fill your confidence, or would you be dreading the game?
That would be my first choice team, but not in that sort of.
Yeah.
I was claiming that as 4-2-3-1. So Nisbet would technically be part of the midfield, but you could technically put it as 4-2, and then the front, the midfield three would be Euan, Nisbet, Cadden.
Let's get back to fucking talk sport, bread and butter, 4-4-2. That's what that is. Chris Cadden's a right winger, Ellie Euan on the left, two strikers, two central midfielders. Fuck it, 4-4-2. But that
4-4-2.
That team is that would be my team. That exact 11. Exact 100. That just no man. whether Nisbet drops in a little bit deeper and Newell and Egan Riley sit or whatever. But that would be my 11.
Ryan, would that be your 11 or would you change it at all?
He's off, lad. Mike is just not committed.
Never mind. Okay, it's just two of us. For me, I've already said it in the pod. I don't know if I necessarily agree with myself, but I'm putting Henderson in instead of Nisbet just because Nisbet. See, the thing is, Euan, correct me if I'm wrong, but see when I'm watching games from home, I'm just sick of seeing Nisbet holding whatever part of his leg and lying on the ground for excessive. It's just pissing me off. I don't want to see that during the derby. See if he comes back next week and he's on his feet the whole time, great. But I cannot be bothered 35 minutes in, we're 2-0 down, and he's holding his knee. Just fuck off. Every single time we go behind, he's holding some part of his leg, and it's annoying me. I just don't want to.
I'm going to say it's the context there. If we're losing, it's not actually that's annoying you. It's the fact we're getting beat. But
of course. Yeah.
No, Kevin Nisbet plays. I'm just like, that's.
Wait. You listen. In my opinion, like if fully fit squad, in my opinion, I think Kukarevic is a better player than Nisbet. Discuss.
You're incorrect.
Why so?
I think Nisbet's a better striker. I think he's a better finisher. I think he's proven it over a much larger period of time. He's maybe a little bit more experienced, probably, I'd imagine, in age and volume of career appearances, but definitely a better finisher. I think his hold-up plays better. I think his hold-up plays better. Kukarevic is good, but if everyone's fit, in our best 11, they both play. But
I agree with that.
But if I could only play one, then I'm playing Kevin Nisbet. It's not even. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Okay, well, I will absolutely say that in terms of hold-up play, I think that personally, it's nonsense that you've said that Nisbet is better than Kukarevic, because Kukarevic, in my opinion, at the weekend, the only chances that came was after Kukarevic came on the pitch. And pardon?
You're asking who was better on Saturday, or you're asking who's the better player in general?
I think both can come into account here.
Obviously, Kukarevic was better on Saturday, but to the same point, when they both came on against Rangers, Kukarevic was as fucking useless as Nisbet.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know exactly who's made more appearances this season. Fucking Nisbet might ended up making more, given Kukarevic's injury and stuff. And obviously signed late in the window and then the World Cup. But Nisbet's, as a striker, the better, more proven goal scorer. But I would absolutely play both of them. But I don't think I'm sorry, but you give your take. I just wanted to establish if we're going off Saturday or fully fit and firing.
Okay, fair. So we've got one that's not Derby related, but from Billy King in the North. Good guy. He listens to the pod, Billy. We appreciate you. He said, if rumours are to be believed, we will be.
I think everyone was sending questions and listens to us. Why would they send them in?
We will go into next season without Nisbet, Euan, Kukarevic, Hoppe, Laidlaw, and O'Connor, leaving only McCurdy. What I'd like to know is, who do you predict will be up front for us come the first game next season if new signings? Who do you think? So essentially, who do you think at the club will remain up front? And is there any signings outside of the club that you would expect to be brought in ahead of the new season?
Right, run through the list out, and I'll go go whatever.
So Nisbet.
Sold.
Euan.
Doesn't come back.
Kukarevic.
Doesn't come back.
Laidlaw. Hoppe. Gone, isn't it? It's gone. Realistically, it's gone.
Is it what I want or what I think?
What you think?
Still here.
Wow. Okay. And O'Connor.
Still here.
So you've got O'Connor, Hoppe, and Laidlaw. So in a starting 11 next season.
No, Laidlaw will be away, and I think McCurdy will be away as well.
I think McCurdy will. So we've got Hoppe and O'Connor. That's who you think we've got.
We'll sign players. Like we'll sell Nisbet after we brought players in. I think first game of next season, Nisbet will still be here. It'll be towards the end.
Okay. Okay. So realistically, if we had a starting 3 next season, you had to make a massive prediction. Obviously, who knows? What would be your starting 3 if we had a 3 next season?
I mean, I hope Euan comes back, but I'm not sure at this point. But I know I've just. Am I going like Nisbet, Boyle, because apparently he doesn't exist? I would like this is fine. What I would like. What are we talking about?
It's a hypothetical. Just make it positive. Make it positive.
Nisbet, Boyle, and a new left winger.
Yeah!
It's so fucking difficult. Like, so it's Martin Boyle.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, and it's difficult. Oh, man.
All right. Euan, I'm going to count in my head to 10 seconds. But in answer to that, so after all the strikers have left, Jaden Tate 1875 said, hopefully we'll be without Lee Johnson as well. You've got 10 seconds to answer that. So we'll be without Lee Johnson. Your opinion, 10 seconds, go.
At the start of next season?
Yeah.
No, you'll still be the Hibs manager.
Why so?
We'll scrape our way into top 6 and they'll give him the start of next season.
Right, well, thank you, Jason and Billy, for your questions.
I mean, scrape our way into the top 6, maybe be we had 2 draws in the next 2 games.
The only way we make it in at this point is if Hearts fuck it. No, sorry, Livingston fuck it enough that we make it in.
That's looking likely at this
point. Well, this is a great question for you, Euan. Raymundo Brun, Ray of Sunshine on Leaf, said, what is the better to go to, Paul Hanlon or Willy Wonka and Oompa Loompas?
Well, obviously, for the 2 pictures in question, it's absolutely the derby where Paul Hanlon equalised to make it 2-2. But no, obviously the answer is the Edinburgh Derby. But look, sometimes it's not possible to have everything, and you've got to accept it. But there's obviously one answer
there. And the last question, Euan, we've been sent in was from Tam 8367578. Stop bringing young players down at Hibs fans, and he asked, they asked, what can you say to give us some hope and some possible inspiration ahead of the derby? What can you say that can uplift the fans, Euan? What can we do that can make us feel energized for this game?
Hearts are shite. Stephen Naismith's a greeting face to be Arsenal. Kevin Nisbet, Kukarevich, Eli Euan, they'll have all got their little mini slump. They'll be good to go. Joe Newell's going to finally play his blinder in the derby. But at the end of the day, it's a sold-out Easter Road. That is a fantastic place to be. Everyone should enjoy it, get behind the team, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't win the game on Saturday.
And just following on from that, see, the thing is, when it comes to Edinburgh derbies, have we got a poor record? Yes. But, as Euan said, Hearts, absolute fucking dog shit. See, when it comes to Hibs, are we inconsistent? Yes. Have we got poor players potentially defensively? Yes. But, have we got quality fucking attackers? Absolutely. We've got Kukarevich, we've got Nisbet, we've got Euan, we've got anybody you want. You know what? Josh Campbell has been poor for the last month. Yes. But has he scored 8 league goals this season? Yes, he has. See, the thing is, Joe Newell, is he slightly inconsistent? He plays 5 poor games and he has an absolute blinder in which we say is gravy. Yes, he does. See, the thing is, when it comes to Hibs, are we inconsistent? Yes. But do we have the potential to take over and be fucking amazing? Yes, we do. When it comes to this derby at the weekend, yeah, Heart can put all they want into that game. But Hibs, if we show up, if we play at our game, at our level, we will win this game no matter what Heart side show up. So yeah, you should be confident. You should be confident. Show up to Easter Road at the weekend because Hibs are going to fucking win this game. That is the most false advertisement for an Edinburgh Derby I've ever put in my life.
That's going to be all over Twitter on Saturday night when we get beat. I hope you know that. I hope you're ready and comfortable.
We're going to get pumped 3-0, and that's going to be all over the place. But
in all seriousness, by the way,
yeah,
a lot of people coming out of the last derby at Easter Road said, "Oh, Hibs have played well. Hibs are a better team. We just couldn't finish." Blah blah blah. Well, we are looking a fair bit more potent in front of goal than we were in January. So we did create chances then. Hopefully we take them on Saturday. It's that simple. Take chances, score goals, win games, do your jobs, as Greg would say. And I think, as Greg would say, Harry, that was an absolute atrocious rant you just went on.
I think the rant was okay. I think the justification behind the rant wasn't so great. But realistically,
you cited Nisbet as a fantastic football player after slating him for the last hour is questionable a bit.
No comment. But realistically, if you're going to the game on at the weekend, I think that honestly you shouldn't have anything to fear. I think realistically, same as ahead of Dundee United, we're playing a very poor Hearts team. It's not often we get to say that in the last couple of years. But Hearts aren't looking good at the moment. I think that Hibs are in a good position. I think we can all see the thing that annoys me about this Hibs team when it comes to Lee Johnson's tenure. Fans will flip-flop between, it's a good Hibs team, it's a bad Hibs team. We've got a good squad, in my opinion. And we should be doing a lot better than we are. I don't think that this Hibs team should be losing 4 in the spin at any point in the season. I think that's unacceptable. But in my opinion, I think we've got a good chance of winning this game at the weekend. I'm looking forward to that blowing up in my face. Hearts fans to clip that quote of me saying how we're going to lambast them. But aside from that, I think genuinely, if you're going to the game at the weekend, I don't think you should be going into it with much in the way of fear. Hearts aren't great at the moment, and I think that Hibs do have a good chance of stamping their authority on the game, which we've not really had the chance to do in the last few derbies. So, yeah.
That'll do for me. And if you want to really look deep at Streaky Lee Johnson's got enough time to end this streak, go win 4 in the spin, and then chuck in a little mini streak to kill us at the end of the season. So let's start the next streak. Anyway, think that'll do us.
But... So thanks so much, guys, for listening. It is a bit of a derby special. It's a bit of a random rant. Me, you, and Ryan got to get a few things off our chest ahead of the game at the weekend. But Euan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for doing this half cut at your work drinks.
I think half cut is underestimated. Believe it or not, guys, I've had a few drinks. I'm a wee bit tipsy. But the Hibs are playing this weekend. I am leaving London at 7 o'clock in the morning to come up to the Hibs game. I am leaving Edinburgh at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get back down to London. And I am an absolute madman for doing that, in my humble opinion. But Euan, thank you for joining me.
See you later, mate.
One of the Hibs.